If you don't go to church, there's a name that Christians call you that is a huge part of the problem with modern day Christianity and why people don't go to church. And Jesus really never would have used this term. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. The name is unchurched, like my niece is unchurched, that group of people is unchurched, and it reveals how far from the life and teachings of Jesus a lot of modern Christianity has strayed. That's because attendance at some sort of religious institution, some synagogue or temple, was never the focus of Jesus. In fact, many times what you see is Jesus doing the opposite. Jesus actually doesn't invite people to church, especially people who don't go to church. So, for example, you remember the story of the guy who is a tax collector who is on the outside of everything. He climbs up into a tree to see Jesus because he's short, and Jesus sees him. He knows that he's a guy that doesn't go to church, and he doesn't say, "Hey, Zacchaeus, come down from there. Let's go to church together. Let's go to synagogue to get together." No. Jesus says, "Let's go to your house together." Not, "Hey, come and join me at church." And there were people who were just not welcome at church or at the big institutional part of it, the temple at the time, like the Samaritans. They weren't even really allowed to go. And when Jesus meets Samaritans or tells stories about Samaritans, they are the heroes. He actually will say good and positive things to them. So, for example, he meets a woman who's a Samaritan who has a really difficult life and has this whole exchange with her. And at the end of it, he doesn't say to her, "Okay, now, if you fully convert to Judaism, you can go to the temple with me." Oh, and for those of you who like scripture references, that story is from John chapter 4, and the story of Zacchaeus, the guy in the tree, that's from Luke chapter 19, and from like all of the Sunday school songs that you sang about him, that guy. The problem with modern Christianity that it reveals is that Christianity has lost its focus on what Jesus was about. Jesus was about trying to get people to be more loving and gracious and have lives that reflected what Jesus taught. And that was the goal. The goal was not church attendance, was not being part of some system or some institution. And this, basically what this does is it treats people that don't go to church as if they are somehow deficient, as if their lack of attendance and support of the institution is the real problem, when that is not part of the real problem. In fact, many people who don't go to church actually follow the life and teachings of Jesus a lot closer than people who actually are there every single Sunday. And so Jesus would not see the people who are living those lives advocating for justice and peace and love and acceptance and say they are somehow deficient because they do not attend the institution. No. He would be like, "Oh, way to go. Also, you guys who go to church every Sunday, maybe you should stop going and do some of the things that these people are doing, because that's really the point of it." And then the other thing is it positions it all as an insider-outsider. There are people who are going to church, and those people are the insiders. Those people are the people that are doing it right. And there's the outsiders, the people who don't attend church, and they've got it wrong. And this insider-outsider thing is never something that you see from Jesus. In fact, Jesus is constantly going to the people who are positioned as outsiders and saying, no, you're in. I'm letting every single person in, and being in is not really determined by whether or not you attend or support any specific institution. And the idea that if you blindly support an institution and don't have to do anything about it, that is what Christianity is. That is why a ton of people don't want to be Christians and don't want to be involved in a church. That's why they don't go, and among other things. But words create the worlds that we live in. And this word both reveals how far from the teachings and life of Jesus many churches have gone, and it reinforces this culture by giving a word and a term that values the actual wrong thing. So maybe we just give up on the term unchurched.